Debate live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Sensual Goat, Click OK, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server. So welcome one and all.
Afternoon.
Let's get it on.
Let's get it on, indeed. I'm running with one screen today. It's swelteringly hot in the UK and has been for the last few days. There we go. There's that screen I wanted. So if the screen transitions are a little bit slow, it's just me having to find the actual place that I want to go. But like last time I went live, we haven't got any computer issues. I've pumped a little bit more voltage into my computer. It's that much closer to setting itself on fire. But no drop frames. Everything's running beautifully. Happy days all round. And yeah, as you probably heard in the intro, please share the show. Good to have you all here. Shall we do a little bit of housekeeping? Anybody averse to us asking one or two housekeeping questions? No?
I thought the housekeeping questions kept house and cleaned house.
You do. And that's what we'll do now. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
What is the sun again?
That sounds like a question for a question. I don't know what the sun is.
I do.
Well, go on then. What is it?
It's a burning ball of plasma.
No, that's what the heliocentric rhetoric would tell you it is based on spectroscopy. But do you accept the rhetoric of stellar spectroscopy when it comes to what the sun is? I don't.
I don't.
Well, then why did you say it?
Well, that's what they teach. I'm thinking if they're teaching it in schools, then, it's got to be true, right?
I don't like the way this chat looks. Okay. Fair enough. Can we cover Bro Sanchez from last night? Jaron was interviewed over the weekend and said we live on a giant Home Depot. Yeah, we can cover that. We're going to be covering a couple of things in the same regard, which is an echo Phoenix Rising 86 of the sentiment of the Discord server and indeed some of my panel in this respect. And as is typically the case, we're quite reactive when it comes to things of this nature. I did happen to see Bro Sanchez's thumbnail swing on by and didn't tune in. I was too busy, but what did I think I clicked on it for 10 seconds or something just to hear what he was talking about, and it wasn't necessarily related. But I could glean from the thumbnail that Bro Sanchez was basically calling Jaron a shill and saying, look, this is controlled opposition talk. This is fighting words, which we have echoed also in our pre-show. But yeah, absolutely, yeah, we'll probably cover that Bro Sanchez sentiment at the very least. Thank you very much for the super chat.
So Nathan, just to clarify, so when I view the sun move across the sky, is the claim on the table of our heliocentrists that the sun itself it appears to move, not because it's moving, but because I'm rotating on a sphere?
Right. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this again and again and again until it needs not to be done anymore. Right. What we are dealing with the Antarctic, what's it called? Final experiment. Is that right?
I wasn't even referring to that.
Ask me your question again. It sounded like you were.
So when I view the sun appear to move through the sky throughout the day,
Yeah.
is that, yeah. So I know I just watch the sun move. But according to the heliocentric religion, that's because I'm spinning on a spinning Earth. That's why the sun moves, appears to move.
Yeah, mathematically, they've derived axial rotation from flat Earth measurements and then inferred that in a heliocentric model, your observation when reifying said sphere model would be that the consequence of the sphere model you assume you're standing on turning would be the effect of the star's non-movement, apparent deviation because of your turning. Yeah, I got you.
Well, that's a great one for normies. I like to point out to people, well, if you see the sun appear to move, then welcome to flat Earth. We're not moving. It's the sun that's moving.
Okay. Maybe someone needs to fill me in further, because I don't, as I say, I didn't watch Bro Sanchez, so I don't know other than what Level Earth Observer put out about 2 or 3 hours ago on his channel, where he basically played a clip with Jaren explaining that if we've got lots of flat planes, disco ball Earth basically, it's so big it's flat, and it could just be lots of Home Depots, which are flat surfaces leveled and measured across a ball, which is essentially suggesting that planar surveying and a disco ball Earth that's giant would be the answer for why we could measure it flat. So based on that, you go, well, okay, all you're doing is allowing the antipodal assumption. You know, if we measure Earth flat, we measure Earth flat. It's just that simple. That's our current standpoint and rhetoric, because it's a fact. And the fact that many people on either side of the flat Earth and globe Earth argument might agree or disagree with that is irrelevant when that is literally how it's measured. Now, beyond that measurement, a justification for still being on a globe, which Jaren as a flat earther should certainly not be making, and this is presumably why people are calling him a shill and saying, you know, it's been here 10 years so that he can lead people astray right at the end and tell them that you can measure Earth flat because it's a really big ball. And it's lots of Home Depots on a flat Earth measured on a ball. Well, the only problem with that is that the inference of the sphericity comes from flat Earth angle measurements calculated into sphericity, so you're going to need a flat Earth to measure to make it useful in practical application with navigation and mapping. That's the first problem, beyond this garbage which doesn't have any practical application, which is essentially going down to Antarctica and assuming that you are antipodal when you, quote, go down to Antarctica. Now, but for the fact that we have an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy that's being ignored in terms of how that operates. I'm going to break this down and hopefully it'll be the definitive breakdown of what is occurring with the claim we see a 24-hour sun. The way that an affirming the consequent works when it's being used to dupe somebody, to make them believe that this is sound logic, is to mask the assumption that is claimed to be validated by a secondary observation that may or may not occur. Now, if you're a good magician, you'll know in advance whether or not what you're claiming will occur will or will not occur. But the point of the fallacy is that whether or not the thing occurs isn't dependent on the thing you're actually trying to prove. So, if I've got an empty patch of Earth that's black, and I say that there's going to be grass growing, and we'll look and see whether or not the grass grows, that will be our Q statement. And what's going to happen in this scenario, it's just going to be what I said. All that's going to occur is the grass will or will not grow. So that's what I'm going to keep your attention on, the whether or not the grass will grow. Okay? So we're going to assess that. I'm going to make it as a statement. I might make it for the positive. It will definitely grow, this grass. Or I might make it in the negative. It definitely will not grow, this grass. Okay? Then when I move on to the next step of the fallacy, all we're going to be looking at is whether or not grass grows. Now, to make the fallacy actually work for the person who's using this to their advantage deceptively, our globe opponents, or Jaren specifically in this example, the way they make the fallacy work to their advantage is to make the claim that you should be looking at of a lower priority when detailing the grass growing. All we're going to focus on is the grass growing. Not what I really want to prove, which is something I haven't even mentioned yet. Remember? But you can pay £20,000 to come and watch this grass grow. And later on in the year, we'll see whether or not the grass grows or not. Because that's the main focus, isn't it? We all clear here that the main focus is grass growing. We all clear? Nobody's answering.
Yes, Nathan.
Yes, Nathan, we're all clear that the main thing here at focus is grass and whether or not it grows. Great. So I've got everyone's attention on the grass growing. Now, I didn't tell you that whether or not the grass grows will actually be proving my assumption that Satan will return after this happens. So let's make the fallacy complete. Satan will return because I will observe the grass to grow. Or I might not, and, Satan might not come back. So the fallacy is as follows. If Satan, then grass growing. Grass growing, therefore Satan. We all clear? The thing that is going to be observed has no link or attachment in any way, shape or form to whether or not there is an existence of a Satan character that's going to come and get you in this fallacy. If P, Satan, then Q, grass growing. The focus is just the grass growing. Whether or not it's going to happen is all that's important here. And when we look at whether or not it's going to happen, don't worry about the consequent. Don't worry about the fact that that means Satan's real. Okay? Now let's repackage it up now. We all understand how the fallacy works. I'll just recap before I do, though. Main focus is going to be the Q statement. Whether or not the grass is growing is all that's important in this fallacy. That's what I'll keep your attention on. And then once we've decided that that's going to be the focus and whether or not that happens is what we'll be assessing, we'll confirm with the grass growing that there is the existence of Satan. Repackage that into, if Earth is a ball, then we will observe 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Let's keep our focus on the second part. Is there a 24-hour sun in Antarctica or not? We'll be seeing if there is or isn't a 24-hour sun. So all we're going to see and confirm is whether or not there's 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Don't worry about the other bit. The if-P statement, let's not concern ourselves. Let's never even mention it, in fact. Let's never formally put this into the fallacy. All we'll focus on is whether or not we'll see 24 hours of sun. And then when we do see 24 hours of sun, we did see 24 hours of sun. Therefore, Satan. I mean globe Earth. Sorry, got it in the wrong order accidentally, on purpose. Yeah, so the one doesn't necessarily follow the other in the fallacy. If P, I assume I'm antipodal on a globe when I go to Antarctica, then the bit we'll actually focus on. Q, there'll be a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. And whether or not there is, that's the main focus. So when we see that there definitely is, or isn't, I confirm that Earth is a globe. That's how this fallacy works. Keep your attention on the Q statement and not the P statement. So now to break it down in its absolute entirety. If we assume when we travel with respect to a compass on a flat plane, navigating with maps that have made with the stars on a flat Earth, derived from flat Earth measurements, when we traverse that flat plane towards the horizon, I can and will assume that that journey actually led me to be dangling off the bottom of a ball when I arrived. I'm not going to confirm it in any way. I'm just going to assume that I am now dangling off the bottom of a ball when I get there. Now that I've arrived in Antarctica, I can make my Q statement. Now I'm here, dangling off the bottom of a ball, already assuming the thing I'm supposed to be proving. We'll just assess whether or not there's penguins here. Because if penguins, then antipodal assumption. Have I got that right? Is that what they're assessing, whether or not there's penguins there? Oh no, whether or not there's a 24 hours. It doesn't really matter whether or not the thing they say in the Q statement happens or doesn't. It's not really relevant. They'll keep your focus on it indefinitely. Whether or not there's penguins, whether or not there's a sun, whether or not there's a moon. 24-hour moon in Antarctica, therefore globe Earth antipodal positioning. That's how it works.
Right, but the 24-hour sun would be dependent upon the elevation angle of the sun being above the plane of reference for 24 hours. So
Yes.
if Earth is a globe, then the plane of the sun will stay above the plane of reference for 24 hours. Where do you get that's non sequitur on its face?
The devil's in the details.
This only works to the globe Earth disadvantage unless flat earthers buy into the false dichotomy that's slapped on top. Once you understand how the affirming the consequent fallacy goes, they need to mask it further for anybody who might be bright enough to figure that out. So how do they dupe flat earthers into getting involved? To mask the automatic assumption when they mask it in a Q statement in an affirming the consequent. Gets complicated, eh? How this dupe works? Yeah, cons are complicated. Yeah, most people aren't stupid, so you've got to get it past them. Well, you'd wrap it up in a false dichotomy fallacy, which is to say only offer two options. Because if one option is the flat earth, then it's a reasonable comparison. Oh, it's fair because I'm stacking up your flat earth against me assuming I'm on the bottom of a ball when we go to Antarctica. Therefore, you won't notice that I've got to have a ball as my assumption, haven't I? It's okay for me to assume a ball because we've got to assume something. You're assuming a flat earth, so I'll assume a ball. That's fair. No, if you assume a ball, you're assuming the thing you're trying to prove. I'm not assuming anything. I'm just sitting on a boat and travelling out towards the horizon in a southerly direction with respect to a flat map devised from flat angles to the stars. That's what I'll do. Don't have to make any assumption. I know Earth's measured flat when we're going in this direction. But you want to assume that when we go in that direction with respect to a flat plane that we navigate with flat maps, I should assume I'm on the bottom of a ball when I get there. No, I won't do that. But if you mask it in the idea that if I've got a flat Earth model and a globe Earth model, everything's cushiony, then we won't notice that you're begging the question of a globe, the very thing you're trying to prove, by suggesting that if we see a 24-hour sun, which is all you'll confirm, sod all to do with the globe, you're looking for a 24-hour sun, aren't you? But, oh yeah, you assumed you were on a globe, the very thing you were trying to prove, and masked it in and affirming the consequent, and then stacked it up in false dichotomy by saying I'll put a flat Earth model next to my globe assumption. So we're all clear that's how this trick, faulty logic employed by charlatans works. Now, maybe it would be helpful if one of the flat earther components to this element of deception was someone like Jaron, who said, well, it's okay to assume that I'm on the bottom of a disco ball. It's just a series of flat planes like Home Depots, all strung round in a disco ball till we get to the bottom of an Antarctica dangling off the bottom that I'll assume when I go down there, because it's perfectly reasonable to assume I'm dangling off the bottom of a ball when I arrive in Antarctica, having travelled towards the horizon with respect to a plane. No, it's definitely not. But you can justify it to an audience as a flat earther on behalf of the globe if you are a shill called Jaron. And explain why it would be okay to say it's just a really big ball with lots of flat planes on it. No, it isn't. It's just an antipodal assumption needed in this Antarctic garbage. I've now broken it down in the most finite way I possibly can, and I am done.
Assumption as well that there's ice walls and domes and pizza discs in space.
That's another garbage claim that flat earthers are tied into at the Feast of Nonsense when they first arrive here. Was that connected somehow?
Say they do go down there for argument's sake, and they do not observe a 24-hour sun. You're going to have a whole bunch of people believing in pizza pies and domes and ice walls.
Well, the heliocentric model is already a flat plane flying through a sky vacuum at a constant acceleration of 9.8 meters per second.
Yeah, that's what they have. The irony of what John has just said is that what they present to flat earthers and say, oh, what a stupid idea, we'd fall off the edge of your pizza pie in a sky vacuum, as per the Flat Earth Society narrative model that they have depictions of. That is actually the globe model. Mathematically, you measure a flat plane and invent a globe to wrap around it with you measuring from within it. Well, therefore, what they actually describe to mock is literally what their globe model is if you look at it in terms of the maths of what makes it. It's flat Earth angle measurements to the stars, creating a dome around it, and then converting those angle measurements through PZX triangles on a sphere of 3959 radius. That's what is actually occurring. So when you have Einsteinian mechanics having you hurl up with the equivalence principle at 9.8 meters per second, that is a flat Earth floating up through a sky vacuum. The very thing they mock you for when they give it you, the flat earther, at the Feast of Nonsense, to stack up in a false dichotomy. When the people who think they're on the outside edge of that projected PZX triangle, pizza slice, globe burger, when they say we are actually on the outside edge of this mathematical reification, how do we automatically assume they can be down in Antarctica, antipodal? Well, let's stack that automatic assumption that we've already positioned ourselves in this mathematical reification that's derived from those flat Earth measurements we can't get, in false dichotomy with your pizza pie flying up in a sky vacuum, coincidentally tying in nicely with the equivalence principle and Dell and his rhetoric of Earth moving up. These things all tie together. We're surrounded by shills, right? That's what's happening. And they're all revealing themselves 10 years in. Oh, well, we better dump off all these old school flat earthers that have all been gathered into a nice group believing in free energy. We'll just dump them all off and tell them that it's a load of Home Depots on a disco ball. Because we can assume we've got antipodal positioning. Well, no, you can't. You've got to measure Earth flat to get that mathematical reification. Earth is measured flat. Suggesting that Home Depots are measured flat like Earth, but it's okay to not use the bit that we measure and just assume antipodal positioning. Where does the antipodal assumption come from? Oh, derivations of the same angles off a flat plane. So, yeah, you can take that extra step on behalf of the people you're shilling for if you're Jaren, but we'll still be here doing what we're doing. You know, we can only do what we do. Point out how the globe comes to fruition, how it's made from those flat Earth elevation angles, how the latitude system is measured flat and wrapped around a globe. Incapable of measurement if you assume you are actually standing on that reified globe model. So yeah, John, they've got their flat Earth false dichotomy punted out into the Feast of Nonsense, ready for people to gobble up so that they can swallow and tolerate an automatic assumption of people being on the bottom of a globe. Got a couple of clips to cover today.
They could swap
Second,
one half of the false dichotomy for the other half, and we'll end up with a whole bunch of people still having no clue where they are.
No, not the people who come here. So the people who come here get a couple of educational lessons. First, Earth's measured flat. How is it measured flat? With the elevation angle measurements to things like Polaris that give us the latitude system that creates our maps and models. That grid that we use to navigate is also flat. The areas of equal elevation that are drawn on them throughout the centuries will always be flat, and the angles that you get them from are flat. So Earth's measured flat. There's no doubt about it. There's no need to justify Home Depots being flat and then say that they're wrapped around a ball, because there are no ball measurements to justify that assumption. So we can point that out to people. Earth is actually measured flat. And when you hear a globe Earth apology for why it's okay to measure Earth flat because it's so big, you'll just hear Earth so biggy, it's so flatty, because that's how we put it, because we've heard it so often. But don't worry about the apology. Don't worry about the Earth so biggy. Just hear the reality of Earth is measured flat, because it is. And then go about your way. Just don't debate people if that's all you've come away from this discussion with. Just know it's measured flat. Yes, you've been lied to. No, don't go out of your way to debate people, because you'll just end up dealing with zealotry. On the other hand, if you do want to delve into the endeavour of challenging your fellow globe Earth believer and his Western world rhetoric of ball Earth in a sky vacuum, then you need to know how the ball Earth in a sky vacuum was made, how elevation angle measurements were derived, how circles of equal elevation will find your positional information, how the general mapping system with latitude and longitude comes with circles of elevation to Polaris with 90 degrees below these stars along a flat plane, how the ephemeris was devised with all of these flat Earth angles tracking the motions of the stars throughout the years, how Copernicus and Kepler and Huygens turned these flat Earth angle measurements into a system of a ball by deriving angles in two spheres and putting the Earth in motion around the sun mathematically, so that the Church could better predict when Easter would be, so that now, 300 years later, you can have numpties in a Western world cult thinking they're standing on that Keplerian mathematical reification of a sphere Earth in a sky vacuum in violation of natural law, where gas doesn't fill sky vacuums. And men stand in sky vacuums looking back at areas of gas not expanding into areas of volume in violations of natural laws. This is the garbage that you need to learn inside out and back to front, to the point where you can summarise it concisely as I just did for my live audience without missing a beat, as he misses a beat. And then you'll be able to debate people. You don't have to reach that level. Now, if on your journeys you find the more popular people who tell you about Ethereum free energy from the replacement sky vacuum, know your gurus and know when they're lying to you with science by getting the second educational step in this particular journey on flat earth debate discovery, which is science proves things if you have employed the actual methodology of science, cause and effect reasoning based on systematic experimentation, utilizing a phenomena and a causal influencer you have assumed will induce the effect you are studying. That's the scientific method. It requires every element I've just highlighted, and if it doesn't have them, it's not science, it's pseudoscience. And if you learn those lessons, you'll be able to realize where our counterparts, also in flat earth, are lying to you and deceiving you with claims of science that haven't been through the method. Now, we are, unfortunately for us, threatening to the people who also use the same heliocentric tricks and deceptions of science when they don't have any, to claim things like Ethereum free energy. And we are a threat to that. Subsequently, we will be challenged and demeaned by our flat earth counterparts because we challenge the grift. The science grift. The grift that doesn't actually have any scientific validity and proof to offer, just the words that are magical. The words that you as a child will learn and taught how it proved things, so that you could go through the rest of your life hearing the word science and knowing something's been proven. Well, our counterparts will use that magic trick to get you excited where you need a replacement for a sky vacuum that's been relinquished when you know NASA have lied to you. That's what we do on Flat Earth Debate. We will continue to do it regardless of how many shills there are around us, telling their audiences that have been told for many years they've got flat earth evidence, only to mess around with ether. When that audience that hasn't had very much flat earth evidence actually presented to them are told, well, it could just be a really big ball, end quote David Weiss, or it just could be lots of Home Depots on a ball, end quote Jeranism. When you hear those things, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that just jump ship. All right, it's just a big ball. I'll go back to how I already thought it was before I got to this flat earth subject. And Jaron told me it was all cushy. Yes, we can measure earth flat, but only because it's a really big ball that nobody's measuring. We're just measuring it flat, is what we say on Flat Earth Debate. So stick with us. Please share the show. This is the cutting edge of flat earth information, courtesy of Quantum Eraser, myself, every panel member, and every Discord server member. Share the show.
I would like to point out to measure is to know. So if you're a heliocentrist, you have to know Earth's flat before you can believe it's a sphere.
Did I miss a super chat? I think I might have done. Your activity. Yes, I did. Elvis Kavorvik says, proof it's flat, not a globe. Then take that flat surface and then make it back into a disco ball. Makes sense. Happy birthday, Nathan. Oh, thank you very much for the super chat. And also, he's super chatted me again to say, hey, I super chatted you. Yes, I saw it and now I'm reading it. Thank you very much indeed for the support, guys. Really do appreciate it. Please hit me up on PayPal if you did want to actually give me financial support that I can immediately utilise, clear my overdraft. I just had a birthday. I'm pretty close. I'm not as poor as I was. Thank you if you did support me via PayPal, by the way. I really did have a much less stressful birthday, being under the I'm going to fine you a huge amount by the bank for being in an unauthorised overdraft, which I definitely was. So lots of people did actually send me PayPals here and there, and I really did appreciate it. And it meant that I could not have a stressful day on my birthday, or a much less stressful day, let's put it that way. And that led to a whole bunch of videos and productivity, doing what I love, which is producing videos. So check them all out. I went on Omi TV and talked to a load of normies about Flat Earth. Very entertaining that it was. It produced about a dozen videos There's one left, which is basically the combination of all of them, with the exception of Hazar, or however you say his Hamzar, I think his name was, who chatted with me for about 45 minutes. But other than his discussion, I trimmed together all the other 1 or 2 minute clips and put them into a half an hour, 40-minute video, which is currently members only. But other than that video, I have now released all of those, mainly because of time restraints. I know that if I don't get them out in the limited couple of days off I've had, it shows you what I do, right? I have a couple of days off and I'm like, what can I do? Oh, I really want to make some videos on my days off. So that's what I've done. And like, they've had the best reception ever. People absolutely love them. So check them out. They're in the short section of my homepage, or check out the video section if you want to see the last 2 or 3 slightly longer form videos, including that interview, if you want to call it that, with Hamzar. Get his name right this time. But yeah, all very, very interesting. And I'll do it again in a couple of weeks' time, probably.
I was interested in those because they asked you if you believed the Earth was flat, and I liked your answer. That was really good.
Yeah, there isn't any belief needed, and I like leaning into that because at most stages they're justifying their own belief, which at a surface level they know they've got, because that's what they call it. Everybody seems to know it's a belief. Isn't that interesting? So when we turn around and go, what belief? It's measured flat. Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean it's flat. Well, no, it does. It means it's flat because that's how we measure it, and your globe relies on that. Your belief is the globe that was created with those flat Earth measurements. But in terms of what Earth is, it's measured flat. You know, think of it as a Home Depot that you're measuring flat, but just the Earth. Like a one giant Home Depot, all flat, measured that way, because you'd have to get angles off it with respect to the plane to navigate around on the giant Home Depot that is just basically a giant flat Earth.
Yeah, there's no getting around it. Pun intended.
See, Neil, we only did one housekeeping question and we're already all warmed up nicely.
Brilliant.
Did you all miss me for the couple of days I had off over my birthday?
We missed the show, but not you.
Yes.
Did you? Did you all miss me?
Yeah, Nathan, we all missed you. Yes, Nathan.
I'm just buying time while I figure out how to share this video. It's that one. One with the whirly whirl on it.
Have you got a review video?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to share it. That's the one. Share. Can you guys see that in G+?
Yes, sir.
Okie dokie, let's put it up on screen then. Okay, which one did I end up on? I ended up on this one. What's it called? Globebusters Live episode 11.15. Vector of Flat Earth is the name of the title that Mush has trimmed this out from. So the clips come from Vlad on 0 degrees, but I will put a link to this. Here we go.
Like, whatever your opinion is about like the definitive nature of it or whatever, the question is just like, would you not want to know if there was a 24-hour sun in the south? And if everyone's answer is not yes, then that's just weird. That's not like the truth seeking.
Do you want to know if the grass is going to grow or not? Will it grow in that patch? But people should be fascinated with whether or not that grass will grow. No, it's it. Now, I've been highlighting for a significant period of time that you need to focus on the P statement, which is if I assume I'm antipodal on a ball when I get to Antarctica. That bit never gets mentioned. But we must focus on the experiment. It isn't. That is whether or not we'll see the sun. Yeah, because you just keep focusing on that patch of grass. Because if it grows, Satan's real. If we see it, then we're on a ball. That's the only bit that matters. Go ahead.
Right, but the P statement that he's addressing, the 24-hour sun, it can only be in relation to a plane of reference. You're not going to invalidate your plane of reference in this observation. So yeah, I would like to know if there's a 24-hour sun down there. That would be crazy cool. doesn't change the plane of reference needed for that phenomenon.
Yeah, there's an easy way to think about this. Why do they need to do it in Antarctica? If a 24-hour sun, full stop, proves we're on a globe, why not do it in the north? We definitely know there's one in the north. Well, why not just use that? Think about it for a second. Why wouldn't you do that? Well, because the majority of people wouldn't be assuming that of an antipodal positioning when travelling to the bottom of the ball for Antarctica. The whole trick is to assume that you're on the bottom of the ball when you get to Antarctica to make this observation. As long as you've assumed you're on the bottom of a ball, isn't that what you're trying to prove? No, we're here to see if there's a 24-hour sun. Yeah, but that's all you'll prove, if there is one or isn't one. Each statement gets ignored, even by Witsit. So it's very important that we need to know whether or not the grass will grow. I mean, whether or not there's a 24-hour sun. But for the fact you've got an antipodal assumption from your opponent that you seem to be affirming for them there, Witsit, very suspicious. Or he's dumb. He's either not spotted the faulty logic or he's dumb. By not spotted, I should have said. He knows what the faulty logic is and is doing it because he's a shill. Or he's dumb.
Like spirit that got me into flat earth.
Line.
You know what I'm saying? And
Or did he just say that a spirit got him into flat earth?
his answer is not yes, then that's just weird. That's not like the truth seeking like spirit that got me into flat earth.
No, he said that's not the truth seeking spirit that got me into flat earth. Truth seeking about what? The sun. So is it sun earth? It's flat earth. Earth's the ground, not the sun. Now we can use the ground to measure the angles to the sun and then prove we're measuring a flat earth Witsit. But you're only going to be observing whether or not you see it all day when antipodal on a ball. But we're not going to be antipodal on a ball unless we assume that Witsit. Let's just never mention it.
You know what I'm saying? And it's the same with this. It's like, it's become this, it's as opposed to this like truth-seeking group of people, it's become this like cliquey, dramatic, toxic, gay little name-calling.
Is Witsit a closet homosexual? He's constantly talking about things being gay. It's not the first time I've heard it. It's at least the third. Otherwise, I wouldn't say it. He likes to refer to things as being gay. It's like I was on that OME TV, and a guy comes on and immediately calls me an expletive. And I laugh, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to be that expletive because I've got 2 kids. I did think about it afterwards and think, well, that doesn't actually mean I'm not a homosexual, which is what he was asking me. But that was what I said on the spot, because to me it was laughable. I'm nearly there, hold on. My point making this example is, I asked him, it's like, well, why would you ask me that? Unless it's on your mind. And he went, yeah, it is on my mind. I'm like, yeah, you're thinking about it because that's probably you when you're a young guy and confused and don't know that you're a homosexual. Well, as a grown adult, you like look at that and go, well, that's kind of quaint. But when someone else like Witsit's doing it all the time, you're like, why are you calling this group of men gay? Is it wishful thinking, perhaps? Because after you've said it a few times, you're like, I'm unaware of any homosexual men on this particular panel. Now, not that I've particularly asked anybody if they are, because it's not on my mind. You know what I mean? I don't recall ever saying to anybody on the panel, just out of interest, John, are you a homosexual? I don't think I've ever asked, but there we go. Just a side note. Go on, John.
Are they talking about us? Why would they be calling us gay for pointing out a fallacy?
I didn't infer that. I was saying I've never done that. He's talking about a generalised group, clique people. He's not actually specifically mentioned that it's us. He might be coming up in a minute. I don't know. I haven't listened to this, but I'm just saying, by comparison, I've never asked you, have I, John, are you a homosexual? And if I did, you'd probably think, why are you asking?
Right. It's kind of like, are you hitting on me, dude? Kind of thing.
Do you party? That sort of thing.
I mean, not the entire thing, right? But that's like kind of becoming the cemented type of group. And that's weird, bro. That's weird. It's like, I'm just saying, I know for a fact, if I went and talked to Candace Owens, people would say, I work for the CIA or something. You know, I think that's really weird, but it's all good.
Okay, I know what the hell. If you're going to talk about whether or not it's important to see a 24-hour sun or not, you might mention that there's going to be an antipodal assumption in play before you actually make that affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy. Oh well, how disappointing. Now,
Didn't we cover Candace Owens, though? I think we covered a Candace Owens video once, didn't we?
I think that's what was being hinted at when it was trimmed out and passed on, that there was a suggestion that it was hinting at being us without possibly saying us. Okay, well, there's another one. This is unrelated to Globebusters, but nevertheless, we'll give it a go.
Earthers say that there's a conspiracy to convince people that the Earth is round. They mean that people are actively lying. And we're not just talking about a few people here.
Wrong on two fronts. I mean, there is an active deception to try and convince people they're on a globe. It's the heliocentric Western world viewpoint. But people being accused of lying is something we'd be very careful to not accuse them of. Unless they're astronauts claiming to be in a sky vacuum that's a second law of thermodynamics violation, we can definitely say they're liars. But very few others actually fall into that category. You, for example, you may very well believe you're on a spinning ball flying through a sky vacuum and punt that idea as though it's absolutely 100% the case. That doesn't make you a liar, it just makes you wrong.
We are, in fact, talking about millions and millions of people worldwide and throughout history who, despite them believing the contrary, are fully committed to convincing the rest of the world's population that the Earth is round rather than flat. And
it's just the default position in the Western world religion. You're bombarded with the idea that you're on a globe, so the chances of you repeating it without even giving it a second thought are high. But you're sort of spinning that in a way that makes it sound like everybody in the world is part of the Borg and all here in a one mind order directive set, going in the same direction, lying to people about it being a sphere. No, it's your oversimplification of the situation. Everybody already believes they're on a sphere and therefore will happily repeat that without being a liar.
And remember, that group would have included thousands and thousands of professing Christians who were willing to lie, despite knowing God condemns it. When flat earthers say...
I see. So he's offering up the antithesis and saying, if you believe in this, then you're a bad Christian. I mean, it's reverse psychology of the lowest standard ever, isn't it, really? It's quite pathetic. And it's been done for his own pain relief. Kind of sad. Okay, right, I'm going to stick a few links in the...
He had a nice suit, though.
I didn't notice this suit. I'll have a look in a sec.
I think it's cool. It's
right, so this is the Globebusters video. Where's the share button? Oh, share. There we go. Copy link.
Nathan, you missed... There's two more clips.
Oh, there's two more?
There's two more.
Well, let me do my call to action first. So, if you are watching this live, right now in the live stream chat, there is a link going by to... Scroll down. Go. To the Globebusters video that we've just covered. So please, as is always the case, let them know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. And as I would say, even for the most obvious of detractors to what we cover on this show, you may like what they have to cover and you may well want to subscribe. So help them in the YouTube algorithm in the same way we would hope to be helped by them if they were to cover us, by putting a link to us if they were to make a response video. So in the same way, I hope to send our meagre audience to Jaren's. So let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, or to Globebusters. Is it under the Globebusters banner? Yes. So let Globebusters know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment. Don't swear, so you don't get your comment immediately removed by them. But just let them know Nathan sent us here to share the YouTube algorithmic love with you. Hopefully you do the same in return. Anyway, there's a couple more. Did you say? Hello?
Yeah, sorry, bro. I can't talk this. There's two more clips from Globebusters.
kind of becoming the cemented type of group. And that's weird, bro. That's weird. It's like I'm just saying, I know for a fact, if I went and talked to Candace Owens, people would say, I work for the CIA.
It's the same clip, isn't it?
When flat earthers say that there's a conspiracy
Did you put more in? Because I think they're the same clips.
Yeah, I gave it to Regis to post them. There should be 2 more clips. Oh, but
I can't hear what you're saying.
Yeah, but dude, I'll tell you this, dude. The vast majority of people I hear waking up to flat Earth right now, like they're all on board electromagnetism and ether, because they just like any intelligent person who does research finds out they hid the ether. The government came in and gave us some like Jewish mysticism, pseudoscience in its place, and then started using ether physics to develop all kinds of crazy technology. It's one of the biggest lies ever told. You find out, oh, it got thrown out because it had to, because of heliocentrism. To remove that from your journey of waking up as a truther or as a flat earther is insane, and it is a minority position, and it can only be explained with ego.
Wow. He's got the good sales pitch for it. Sounds fabulous. Where do I sign?
Because like the vast majority of people that I come across, either they already woke up to the ether and they found out how it applies.
And appeal to consensus fallacy.
What a lying deceiver.
Well, even if it was true.
I was only going to listen. What a lying deceiver that man is. Yeah? Ad hom to populist fallacy, yeah, to start with. Most people that flat earthers believe that in the ether as well, and they've woken up to the ether. What's that? Is that a new type of alarm clock you've got? What's it? It's the use of language without actually ever committing to a real statement. Most people have woken up to the ether. He's just a scrote, young man.
You know, there's another version of it, which is even more derogatory, which is when you say, I used to be where you are. Same sort of thing, isn't it?
I used to be there, and if you want to sign up for these additional services where you there's a mild subscription, you can find out why I'm so happy today.
Eyes to geocentrism and flat Earth, or the other way around. Like, so yeah, there may be 2 camps, right? But like really,
right, like a false dichotomy, like one that automatically gets away with assuming their outcome with antipodal positioning and a flat Earth pizza pie azimuthal equidistant projection. There's only 2 camps. Like there's only a false dichotomy. Are these shills? Are these actually shills? He's punting part of the fallacy and softening it for his audience so that the audience will accept it.
Was that and interweaving with flat Earth. Because you know the Earth's flat, yeah? He's interweaving that solidity that we've built over many years and hijacking that. And people's affirmation and interest, as soon as they've got that, and that gets them into this genre, and then he's hijacking that. So don't look at flat Earth. Eat this ether. Eat this ether.
There's not really 2 camps. Like it's like 90-10. And we proved that. We proved that when we had but dude, I'll tell you.
Okay. Was there any others?
Another point. I got another one.
Hold on, just one sec. Admin, hold on. Have I missed any other clips, or can I stop sharing this?
There's one more clip that's continuation of what he just said right there, but it's not that important.
The debate, and they refused to debate me. Then I did my stream and I exposed all of it, and I broke down atomic physics, atomism and ether, and the people spoke, bro. They're like, why would we not discuss this? Why would what?
Mm-hmm. Oh, we discussed it, all right.
So weird. It's so weird. This is what made me make content.
I don't get it. So sad.
Oh, dude, it was like the biggest thing. I became obsessed with it. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy, bro. Because this is like one of the biggest lies of all of it. And I'm like, yo, dude, like if you read these electrical field theory people, they had it figured out. If you go read Harvard right now, they're like, we don't know what this is. It's like, well, they did a century ago. So
where have you guys been?
Yeah.
I think the difference too is if you think about it, like I'm open to the to relative density. I'm open to everything. I'm not. While I have my current belief, it doesn't mean that I'm so cemented in it that I'm going to simply look for. I already found the truth. That's the problem. I think it made
the debate, and they refused to debate me. Then I did my stream, and
Oh no!
That was the end.
He's found the truth. Hey, I'm John, by the way, refracted. He's found the truth, brother. Amen. And for only $4.95 a month, you can have the truth also.
Play it over.
Yeah, play it over again.
to relative density. I'm open to everything. I'm not, while I have my current belief, it doesn't mean that I'm so cemented in it that I'm going to simply look for, I already found the truth. That's the problem. I think
the debate and they refused to debate me, then I did my stream and I exposed all of it and I broke down atomic physics, atomism and ether, and the people spoke, bro. They're like, why?
No. He debated it. Is that what he said? What did he exactly say there?
And they refused to debate me, then I did my stream and I exposed all of it and I broke down atomic physics, atomism and ether, and the people spoke, bro. They're like, why would we not discuss this? Why?
People spoke, bro. And why did we not discuss it? That's all right. We're going to have a little listen to it over the next month or so. We're going to see how the people spoke and how you debated the topic. Yeah? Stay tuned. A lying, surat, double-speaking piece of...
Well, dude, what was the valid point of contention that he brought up, a.k.a. the claim that he's looking to verify? Does he know what a debate is?
He wasn't looking to claim or defend anything. He's looking to, as I know you said it a couple of seconds ago, he's looking to hijack people's interest, I think it was Adam, in flat Earth and tell them all about ether. That's what he's actually doing.
Well, and Jaron with that belief crap ain't helping any either. What you believe, I can change my belief. But if you know something, you shouldn't be believing in something that contradicts what you know. It's that simple.
Yeah, we know it's measured flat. That's it. It's game over. Their globe relies on it. Knowing that to make a globe needs the flat Earth measurements extracting into that sphere, and then justifying that we can measure flat on a sphere which won't ever give you any flat Earth measurements, and then saying it's a disco ball is pathetic. They're either stupid or shills at this point.
You're thinking they're not scammers yet? You still haven't got it?
They're either stupid or
that's the
shills.
distinction I'd make, guys. No, not a shill, Nathan. Somebody who's interested in generating revenue. He's not here to shill against flat Earth. Whether or not Earth's flat doesn't really matter to him if there's a revenue stream. This seems to be the purpose of these guys' behavior. Yeah? It's all about revenue streams. It's not about telling the truth. It doesn't matter, does it? We can pimp ether, all these things that you can get extra revenue streams from. It's about piquing interests for people to spend a little bit of spare cash. Yeah, and trying to generate a revenue stream based off what I said earlier, people's initial interest in flat Earth. And then they get to these guys and they're told, oh, there's a whole new layer of truth on top of flat Earth. Just give us some cash.
Yep. Duh.
I think maybe Whitsitt wants to be the next generation of Scientism priest. And, just in a different made-up religion. One that has ether rather than gravity.
Yes.
The new guru.
Exactly, the latest guru. And for their guru validity, they need science. That's why they don't like us. We expose the magic trick they're using to establish their guru status. That's it.
Which is kind of a bit scummy because they're taking the same trick that got the entire Western world, and they're utilizing it the same way to trick people into the ether shenanigans. I think that's a bit more scummy than the heliocentrists using it.
Yeah, you've gone, wow, look, there's a guy on the beach with 3 cups. And he's scamming everyone around him. And you start crying foul, telling everyone to keep away. Everyone keeps away. You get closer to him. And then you watch and learn how he does his little shell game. And you go, you know what? I can go over to this other part of the beach. Tell everybody that the guy down the beach that's doing the shell game is a scammer, and I've got a fair shall game because I've learned how to do it now. That's all they've done. They've watched other globers, scammed everyone onto being on a globe by saying that science proved it, and now they're doing the same with ether. The exact same scam.
Yep.
So his spirit that got him into it wasn't what he says. It was money. The spirit of filthy lucre.
Well, as the Bible says, Neil, the love of money is the root of all evil.
That's correct. A lot of people think it's money. It's the love of money.
Yeah. Yeah, wanting money and needing money is a necessity in terms of how our structured life works. So you can't really be decried for wanting to keep a roof over your head and bills paid. Speaking of which, hit me up on PayPal if you want to help me out in that regard. It's a bit of a struggle at the moment. But then again, I love what I do, and whenever it is a bit of a struggle, yeah, if you ever want to know I'm struggling, watch me churn out a bazillion videos like I did on my birthday. It's like, oh no, my numbers are going down and I'm earning less money. I know what I can do. I'll pump out
That's
an
a big
absolute ton of
difference.
videos. Again, Neil.
Did you lie
Big
or
difference in what you
deceive
do,
anybody in those
Nathan.
videos?
What, I've
sorry,
got two
Adam,
people
I-
talking at once. Neil, then Adam.
No, Neil first.
Did say that.
It's a big difference in what you're doing, Nathan, than what they're doing on the other side. Big difference.
Well, I know that I'm a videographer first and foremost. I'm covering a subject with a hat on as a videographer that is flat Earth. And if I want to earn more money as a videographer, it's like if you're fitting tyres to people's wheels. If you suddenly are cut and strapped for money, you've got to get out and put more wheels or put more tyres on wheels. You know, you've got to get out there and do it more. And that's all I do. I'm like, well, fucking churn out more videos. That'll churn more revenue. And in some of them, I literally suggested that people help me out subtly. And yeah, you know, that's all you can do really as a videographer. But if on the other hand, you know, you're like, I can easily gather up the gullible by replacing their sky vacuum with ether. And if I just tell them I've got science, I already know they'll be receptive. They were duped onto being on a ball with it. Well, then I'll have a whole load of people that really are satisfied with what they've been given as a replacement for their former globe belief. And if in the case of Jaren, suddenly your Home Depot's on a disco ball, you won't necessarily know that you've lost anything because you weren't ever confirming that Earth was measured flat. And when it was subtly hinted at that, well, if you've heard on other platforms that Earth is measured flat, don't worry, it's just a load of Home Depots on a disco ball. I mean, shout out to Bro Sanchez for exposing this. They're basically saying Earth's so big, it's flat. That's what they're doing. We measure Earth flat, but it's okay because I can assume those flat Earth measurements that were mathematically turned into a ball mean we are standing on a ball that I assume is antipodal with a load of disco strips on it. And Dave Weiss is quoted. It might just be a really big ball.
Right. It's like saying, look at these particle distributions. They prove that it's a wave.
Calm down. That might be over the head of some of the audience, but that's fine.
Told you we're all alone here.
If anybody's wondering, when they talk about the wave of light that is the ether, or however they say it, they're always referring to the diffraction patterns and how they're classified.
If you're wondering what a diffraction pattern is, it's the lines that you would see if you shine light through a slit and vary the focal length of the slit until you get this pattern, which is single slit diffraction. Now you can derive a mathematical construct that gives you all of the different descriptions mathematically of the different types of light, right? They're waveforms, or what do they call them? Wavelengths, that's it. Well, all of those are derived from, in the first instance, the pattern that you get when you get light diffraction. Well, what is light diffraction? Well, you can describe it in a way that breaks, fundamentally in a physical way, breaks the idea of it being a wave. If you take, and I've learned this from Quantum Eraser, fortunately it's on the panel in case I make any mistakes, or incorrectly name the tools, something I believe is called an argon pump laser. And this tool gives you the ability to fire one particle at a time through something like a slit. Now, when you do
doesn't have to be an argon pump laser.
Say again.
It doesn't have to be an argon pump laser. It just depends on what type of light you're trying to get the wavelength from.
Okay, let's rephrase it. For the longest time ever, you can click below this live stream and go and watch a demonstration of one of the principles in quantum mechanics being done experimentally. And in that particular example that does have an example of light diffraction being shown on the screen, they use an argon pump laser, correct?
Yes, but that's not diffraction grading.
No, they do have diffraction grading in it. They're showing the wave function. Do they only show it collapsed? Do they not actually ever show the diffraction pattern in that video?
I can't remember.
Light
It's not a
varies the lead.
It doesn't matter.
It's not a diffraction. It's not a diffraction grading. It's only a double slit. Diffraction grading is thousands of slits.
Fine. My example was going to be about something else, but I'll carry on as though that didn't happen. You are correct, and I'd rather you were pedantic about this stuff, because I'm a novice, obviously. I only know what I know from you. So yeah, I just still need to know it, and I still need to hear it. Nevertheless, my point was going to be that regardless of what the tool you use to fire an individual photon, or let's just call it a packet, one packet of light can be fired out of this device, go through a slit, and then hit at a given point on the other side of the slit. So you've got light, slit, and then whiteboard, let's just say. Yeah? Well, when this process occurs, what you're doing is building up lots and lots and lots of lines on the wall. So if you were to fire one particle through the slit and it hits on the wall at, let's give it 5 locations that it can hit. So the point marked number 3 is in the center, directly behind the slit, and then 1 and 2 are to the left of that, and 3 and 4 and 5 are to the right of it. Yeah, so it can hit at one of those 5 locations after it goes through the slit. But if you fire 1, it goes through the slit and it happens to hit right in the middle, point 3. You fire the next one and it goes through the slit and hits at point 1. And then you fire the next one and it hits at point 4, and then you fire the next one, it hits at point 2, and then you fire the next one, it hits at point 3 again, and then you fire the next one, it hits at point 5, and so it continues. One particle at a time eventually builds up this pattern of bars on the wall, these 5 lines. Yeah, and they represent the individual points that potentially the light could hit after going through the slit. Yeah, so it's a pattern of interference, a diffraction pattern they call it. Well, that diffraction pattern is a probability that can be mathematically quantified on a graph in something called a wave function, or probability distribution. At what point is it likely to hit at point 1? How likely is it to hit at point 2? How likely is it to hit at point 3? And that will produce in the graph something that looks like a wave, otherwise known as a wave function. The probability distribution creates a graph that makes it look like a wave, and it's called a wave function. Now, given that you're shooting one particle at a time through the slit, does that make the particle you fired through the slit a wave? No. Does it mean that if you fire one individual particle enough times, you can build up a pattern that you can derive a mathematical function called a wave from? Yes, it does. So we're all clear. Light being described as a wave comes from this mathematical derivation, but if you, there's the coup de grace, the point I'm getting to, the main crescendo of this, if you only fired one particle through the slit and it hits at point 3, do you even have enough information to derive a wave function mathematically? The answer is no. You only have 1 point on your chart, on your graph. So you can't derive a wave from the 1 marker in this probability distribution. Ergo, you've got 1 particle of light, it's still light, it's still travelled through the slit. That was a bad phraseology, we'll just brush past that. It hit at point 3, and there it is. Light has reached a point on this backplate, this whiteboard, and you can see that that is light, but you cannot in any way, shape or form describe that single impact as a wave, because you don't have the data to create that mathematical extrapolation that is the description of light as a wave when it's a wave function in the maths. Light is not a wave. That's a bastardization and a misunderstanding of the mathematical derivation of probability distribution, otherwise known as wave function. Did I miss anything, Adam or Kiwi? Go ahead.
I wasn't paying any attention, man. You're a bit out over your skis, but that's all right. No, just
a bit out over your skis. That's one way of saying that was a crap explanation, took too long and wasn't that accurate. Thank you, QE.
You're welcome.
And the wave pattern, the diffraction pattern is the phenomenon. You're given a description of the phenomenon, not the light itself, too. So keep that in mind when they start talking about the wave. It's nonsensical on its face.
Yeah, the phenomena of diffraction isn't what we typically experience. It's something that's out of the ordinary, otherwise known as a phenomena. Something's happening. Oh, why is it doing that? As in, why is it splitting up into these bars? That's the phenomena. But describing the phenomena as a wave function is where we get this crazy idea that light is actually a wave. That was the main point, right, QE? Was that clear enough for the audience's benefit to not have to reiterate it again?
It doesn't just apply to light either.
One more time, Endless.
It doesn't just apply to light. You're kind of burying the lead. They've done this same thing with molecules that are made up of like 2,000 atoms. So just focusing on light kind of feeds into the ethers thing. If you can expand it out.
If I keep it narrow, I help them. I see.
A little bit.
Yeah. No, I can see that.
Yeah, everything's a discrete. Is made up of discrete points that we call atoms. That's just how things are. If you don't like it, that's what we base our understanding of the crystalline diode structures of television, of electronics, everything is based off that understanding. Sure. Why are you using the internet to communicate?
Because of quantum mechanics.
To try and get the etherites to
because of the
claim
validity offered in science via quantum mechanics, to answer your question.
Sorry?
I didn't hear either one of you.
Well, to answer your question, John, the reason we're talking on the internet is because we have the ability to use microprocessors as a direct result of quantum mechanics.
Got hit with valves, wouldn't we?
One more time.
We would have got hit with valves, surely.
We would have got hit with valves. No, we need transistors. I don't think we'd have got the valves that small, ever.
Oh, they'd just be very big computers. It'd be great. Very steampunk.
I did see someone basically make a computer in Minecraft. As in, they made a functional computer within the game itself.
They've made increasingly complicated CPUs. They've made someone made a GPU inside Minecraft, so they can actually render Minecraft inside Minecraft.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Yeah, very clever. Using redstone as semiconductors, basically. I think that's correct. I don't know my Minecraft terminology. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure. Anyway,
interconnects.
Anyway, this science proves we need to round out, because I'm going to round out this live stream soon with a conclusion in regards to Shillbusters, as that's specifically what we've been covering for the majority of the show.
They're scammers.
Scammers?
They're scammers. Yeah, it's already been demonstrated. The Mountain Brew horse shit. And you got the incoherent Joseph Goebbels, the double-speaking lion Surat, Boy Zero Sky Grifter, that in one statement, his mantra, falsification is independent of replacement, and the very next breath says he's an alternative cosmologist. That's just one of literally high hundreds of doublespeak. Just wait. We're gonna go into. We're gonna take a little trip back into history. There, shits it. See where it all stands. Thanks.
Well, with Witsit, it's like everything he says or everything that he thinks is intelligent is just self-contradictory on its face. Like when he thought the Kashmir effect proved the ether, and that virtual, it's like, but then he denied the virtual photons that were required to assert the Kashmir effect.
Yep.
It's like, what are you doing?
Didn't he use a particle accelerator to debunk particles?
Yep, denied particles and then invokes a Van de Graaff generator. It's a particle accelerator. Yeah,
that's correct.
Yeah.
On topic indictment anymore?
There's one thing that
it's not
stated.
quite
There was one thing that was stated that was, I thought, profound, but it was glossed over. And John stated it earlier. He said, "You must measure the Earth flat to believe in a globe." I thought that was quite profound.
Yeah, I've been saying it for 7 months.
But he consolidated very concisely.
Oh,
you must
But he
measure
said it in a different way.
Man, now I know how you guys feel. Brian will be saying something over and over again for about 10 months, and then I'll paraphrase it slightly, and I will go, "That was wonderful, Nathan. The way you said that was so concise." Brian will be like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa." You must measure Earth flat to believe in a globe. That is absolutely correct. Right, what was that? Somebody said that's not quite right from Discord.
That was me.
Go on, what was it that you were going to say, Adam?
So it's within the Michelson-Morley that will show that there's ether, and within that they can disprove the fact that there's a photon by using a photon emitter, and I think it's photons according to Witsit. This is a year ago that we laughed at that one, but that's how I understand it. You need a photon emitter and a photon detector to disprove photons.
Yes, that's another one. There's many hundreds.
Was there anything else from Discord?
I think it would be funny to try and get them to talk about the wave-particle duality of molecules as they go through the double slit experiment.
No, it's not an experiment according to Witsit. There's a man-made device in it.
Oh, God.
Well, you could say that there is a charge or electrostatic force, but particles don't exist.
When you use small molecules, you're not really doing an experiment. You just replicate it in of itself. But the fact that you've got the interest in small molecules doesn't necessarily prove anything. It just shows that the effect, the observed phenomena, is replicable even with small molecules, never mind photons.
Any more for any more?
Those are just ones I pulled off the top of my head, the contradictions that he's made. Them are just off the top of my head, so you know there's 100 more.
I'm sure we'll go through.
More than that.
I'm sure we'll go through a whole bunch of them in the after show. But with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you. Hit me up on PayPal. Thank you so much. Smash the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.